We're talking about common faults with a sumo deadlift. The first thing is that you're going to see people that are really going to complain about being in a wide stance because it's uncomfortable for them. Now, it might be uncomfortable just because they've never done it, or it might be uncomfortable because of their limb length. So you have to assess that based off the individual. One thing that we can do is we can always drop the load, which, as you know, isn't rocket science. We can go with a light load and get comfortable with that wide stance and see if that fixes the issue. But if it doesn't fix the issue for people with longer limb length, longer femurs, we can put them into a rack or elevate the plates off the floor. So what this is going to do is essentially give them a top-down approach where we're decreasing the range of motion, we're establishing some good movement patterns, and then we can add range of motion later on. But that's a good way to go for most people, and it really comes down to your equipment that you have on hand. If you have a rack that you can easily use that's accessible, go for it. If you don't, then you could try elevating the plates, but obviously in a group setting, the challenge is being able to give everyone that level of individual coaching with obviously only a 60-minute time frame. So just keep that in mind, what's gonna work most effectively for the athlete, but also be efficient for your class, okay? So the third thing is that this is a fault, and it's not a fault that's necessarily going to put people at risk of injury, but we see it quite a bit. Gripping the bar too close. Now, I think with a sumo deadlift is people basically consider it to be the same as a sumo deadlift high pull, when in reality they're two entirely different movements, okay? So the grip should never be here because we'll lose all stability on the bar. So we want to be essentially right inside of our knees, where we're right inside of shoulder width. There's good bar stability. We're not going to end at lockout and have that bar moving all over the place, okay? Last point is, and this is something that is probably more of an advanced cue, is engaging the lats. We have a lot of things that we need to give people in terms of executing this effectively and not putting them in a position where they're going to get injured. But being able to really turn the lats on is going to keep everything packed and tight and obviously make it more efficient. So once we've established good setup position, they have everything rising at the same time, head is neutral. They're able to do that. We can throw in the last cue would be to essentially externally rotate the bar. Just like we do with the bench press where we're externally rotating to engage the latissimus. It works the same way with the deadlift, and that's really that final setup position to make this movement as efficient as it possibly can be, okay? So again, just to recap, setup position probably will be uncomfortable for a lot of people out of the gate. That's okay. We can work with a lighter load, or we can take away range of motion. Next thing is that the grip, for most people, they tend to go too close, so make sure that you're opening that grip up. And then the very last thing that we want to have people do is engage the lats.